Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for December 21st, 2012. It is currently 8:56 a.m. And yes, believe it or not, we're still here. The world didn't end, all this Mayan stuff. The guy just had a hand cramp. That's all that happened. He got tired of making the calendar, decided to take a rest, and then he just forgot about it. That's all that happened. Anyway, what is going on today? Well, what we have going on in reality is a very heavy rain event lifting up through the New York City metropolitan area. It is exiting the Philadelphia metropolitan area. And a major change in our weather pattern is starting to evolve and show up throughout the northern mid-Atlantic. Currently, right now, we have temperatures in the lower to mid 50s along the coast and over much of central and western Connecticut, basically in the upper 40s in portions of northwestern Connecticut. And as we move further west towards Messina and then much of eastern Pennsylvania, we have temperatures falling into the 30s and 40s. Clearly, we have a cold front moving through the region as winds shift to the west and the west-northwest over the next couple of hours. Now, it is very windy out there. Winds ranging anywhere from 10 to 25 miles per hour sustained, gusts over 35 miles per hour. Some locations are reporting wind gusts as high as 50 to 70 miles per hour. However, that's in the heavy rain bands themselves. For this afternoon, temperatures along the coast are going to be falling through the 40s throughout the afternoon, but they'll feel colder because winds are going to be sustained anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour with higher gusts, leading to wind chills in the 30s. Meanwhile, further to the west, over portions of much of eastern Pennsylvania and western New Jersey, temperatures are already falling, and they'll start to hold steady in the upper 30s to lower 40s throughout the rest of the afternoon before falling into the 30s this evening. So a major change is certainly on the way. You can see on the radar here as of this morning, as of 9 a.m. basically, you can see all the heavy rain is lifting up into New England now. The heaviest rain is starting to exit the New York City metropolitan area. We're drying out in the Philadelphia metropolitan area. But with the cold air invading in and plenty of moisture in the atmosphere, do not be surprised to see a few rain and snow showers move through the region throughout this afternoon, as mid-level disturbances associated with this upper-level low basically drives through the northern mid-Atlantic over the next 12 hours. You can see some influence of lake effect enhancement over portions of West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. This will not reach the region, but it will serve as a reminder that a few of these isolated snow and rain showers will be able to move into the region, so keep an eye on that. Again, the heaviest rainfall is now currently focused over Connecticut, Long Island, and the Hudson River Valley, and that's going to lift to the north and east and clear out of the region by 11 a.m. with drying conditions by this afternoon. So a much better weather environment for your evening rush hour or afternoon rush hour, depending on when you get out of work today, as opposed to the morning rush hour, which has been an absolute nightmare with flash flooding, wind damage, poles down. It's just been nasty out there. Taking a look at the latest infrared satellite picture, you can see our primary low pressure system is intensifying over portions of Michigan and lifting north and east, but our secondary low pressure system is also rapidly intensifying. And one could make the argument that the secondary low pressure system over northeastern Pennsylvania is starting to become the primary low pressure system. Well, what does that mean? Well, as far as precipitation, it's already dead and over with. It's clearly going to be a rainstorm for us. It already has been a rainstorm. But what it does mean is that cold air is going to be able to rush into the region a little bit faster than what was forecasted yesterday. Thus, the potential for temperatures either holding or falling throughout the day. Also, it's going to mean if you have friends up in New England, that the heavy rain event and eventual snow event over portions of the Great Lakes is going to be far more interesting. Watch out for lake effect snow around Lake Ontario and Lake Erie this evening. It could get rather impressive, especially if you are down in northeastern Ohio and northwestern Pennsylvania. Some rough travel conditions are definitely going to be developing over there if they haven't already. And you can see our upper level low associated with this whole storm starting to lift up into the St. Lawrence River Valley. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a major key in our weather forecast and our weather pattern over the next 7 to 10 days. Taking a look at the water vapor satellite picture, you can see our upper level low here lifting up into the St. Lawrence River Valley. Now, how this upper level low intensifies and sets up over southeastern Canada right here is going to have a huge impact on our weather pattern over the next several days. Yes, it's going to get cold, but is it going to get snowy? That is the primary question now, isn't it? Because everyone wants snow because we're all snow starved. Well, let's look at a couple factors here. One, we have an upper level low over the Pacific that is collapsing and breaking apart. And as a result, disturbances are moving into the southwest. We also have an enhanced subtropical jet stream starting to get itself act together and moving towards Mexico and Texas. So that's something to certainly keep an eye on as far as enhancement of these disturbances moving into the region. And we also have plenty of Arctic air building up in Canada. And this Arctic air is going to be driven to the south towards the Great Lakes and Northern Plains. And a part of it's going to try to clip into the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. We're not going to get Arctic cold, but we're certainly going to get to near to below normal temperatures, once again visiting the Northern Mid-Atlantic. So you could see the evolution of the pattern here and how this upper level low is going to start to lock in here, produce a northwesterly flow aloft, and also force a storm track that's further south and east. Potentially. But what if the upper level low breaks down faster than what normally happens, as what the European model guidance is trying to suggest with a track over the coastal plain now? It's moved east, but still not optimal for snow. Or what if all the models are wrong and this upper level low doesn't collapse at all? Now, high latitude blocking, like what we're seeing here, typically does not collapse as fast as what the models suggest. And I think there's a potential here for some rather interesting model solutions coming out, especially tomorrow afternoon once this upper level low locks in and we start to get some real great data on exactly how strong this block is going to be developing over southeastern Canada. So I'm going to use the European model guidance to kind of prove a point here, okay? And I'm not saying that I 100% agree with it, but I kind of want to show you where the variables are here. So here we are for this evening. Our upper level low is lifting into the St. Lawrence River Valley. We're windy, we're cold. We're going to be in a bit of a shock after having temperatures in the 50s and 60s. We're going to be talking about 30s and 40s with winds anywhere between 10 to 20 miles per hour, leading to wind chills in the upper 20s to lower 30s. So clearly a rather chilly evening is on the way. And with all the moisture in the atmosphere, be on guard for a few rain and snow showers moving through the region. Nothing significant, nothing heavy, but certainly a threat. By the time we get into Friday, here's our upper level low setting up. Here's our high latitude blocking starting to develop here. We have a ridge over the west, weak trough over the east. Now, because of all the lower heights focusing towards the Canadian border and above normal heights developing over the Arctic, we're seeing kind of this huge broad trough in a way. And cold air is slowly pressing down into the northern mid-Atlantic. Or, well, into much of North America, really, into much of the United States. In the meantime, what we can expect is dry yet windy weather conditions with temperatures averaging in the upper 30s to lower 40s. By Sunday, should I say, we move forward in time. We have high pressure pretty much in control still. Tranquil weather conditions are pretty much in place, although a bit windy. And clearly you can see that press down in the cold air that's happening throughout the nation, especially the Arctic air right here. Now what we're going to be watching for is this disturbance right here. This disturbance is going to be a key factor in what to expect for Christmas morning or Tuesday morning if you don't celebrate. So here's our disturbance developing over the Texas Panhandle. As that disturbance races to the east, by Monday it's basically over the Tennessee River Valley. Now how this sets up is going to be really important. Look at this at 72 hours. It's one strong, powerful upper level low. You have one strong disturbance over Manitoba, another one around the Canadian Maritimes. Clearly have strong blocking setting up over portions of Greenland and over northeastern Canada. So you would think, wow, that looks like it's going to be sustained. But it tries to break down that upper level low, sending one piece towards the Canadian Maritimes, another piece back towards the Hudson Bay, and you have kind of this broken setup here with a little bit of a ridge. Now that leads to the potential for some warmer air to move into the northern mid-Atlantic. But what if this remains one upper level low? Well, then this doesn't happen. This ridge doesn't happen, and this disturbance moves towards the Mid-Atlantic coast under cold weather conditions. And oh, by the way, we have a high pressure system kind of anchored in here by the St. Lawrence River Valley. So some interesting potential here is unfolding for late Monday into Tuesday morning, where this disturbance shoots off the New Jersey coast and produces some either rain or snow for the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. It is important to note that the European ensemble model guidance keeps this more cohesive, and as a result leads to a colder track and one where everyone sees a little bit of light snow on Christmas morning. So there is a potential for a white Christmas. I don't like the way this is set up. Something is not right here. I think what we're going to see is either this become a dominant low pressure system and you just kind of have this broad rotation here, or what you see most likely is that this just remains a sustained, strong upper level low that perhaps shifts towards the Canadian Maritimes, but doesn't break apart and allow this to happen right here, this little ridge. Moving forward, the next question, of course, is what happens with this upper level low. Well, right now, the model guidance is trying to basically merge all of the lower heights together over portions of the northern Atlantic. Whether that happens or not is a bit questionable. And also, you have an interesting block setting up here and here with these two feeding off each other. So my point here, what I'm trying to make, is that there are a lot of dynamics going into this weather pattern here, and a lot of questionable solutions in the way that the models are handling the high latitude blocking. And quite frankly, the European model guidance is one of the best, and it's been one of the most erratic. I should point out once again, the ensemble model guidance of the European models are colder. So you can see that we definitely have a storm developing along the East Coast. Now, there's been a major shift in the European model guidance from last night, a shift closer towards the coast. We still are dealing with a lot of warm air along the coast, which would suggest a changeover from snow to sleet to freezing rain to rain, and then back over to snow as the storm lifts northeast towards the New Jersey coastal waters and cold air invades back into the region. There's a lot of questionable ways that this evolves, though. I would basically offer extreme caution in taking any of these models verbatim. Wait for the upper level low over the Canadian Maritimes to develop. The one thing we could take from today's forecast is this. It's going to be cold and windy from now on through this weekend. Look for a potential for a few snow flurries. And then thereafter, from basically Monday evening on through the rest of next week, we're dealing with a very active and stormy weather pattern that will bring the potential for measurable snowfall, especially for the interior. Whether that reaches the coast will basically depend on how this high latitude blocking sets up and where our high pressure system is basically able to anchor over southeastern Canada, and of course where our low pressure system decides to track, or forced to track, really, it doesn't decide. So there's a lot of volatility in the forecast going forward, a lot of interesting developments to keep an eye on. So like I said, our winter pattern is going to be stormy. Whether it's going to be snowy or not, well, that's going to depend on the interaction of disturbances for each one of these storms. Keep a watchful eye, as I will, and you can follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Have a safe and happy weekend. I'll see you on Monday.